Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tuesday's Market Situation Report, or SITREP, here at Top Gun Options, coming from our world headquarters down here in Fort Lauderdale. Beautiful day, interesting day in the market. We're starting to run out of airspeed, shooting for our sixth, almost seventh day of up trading in this increasingly volatile market. So we're kind of whistling past the graveyard here, but we hit the 50-day moving average with some serious airspeed. But as I predicted yesterday, we're most likely going to give some of this back and at least head back down to the 50-day moving average, because we are floating right now, literally floating on hopium. We're back here in the Ben Bernanke smoking some hopium market, where the economy is slowing down potentially, and the market is counting on a slew of interest rate cuts to keep us all sedated. Tariffs are a beautiful thing. Trump doubles down on trade war strategy with China after Mexico. So Mexico allegedly has fulfilled whatever demands the president laid out, which I don't know really what they are. They sent some troops to their southern border. The Mexican government has done more than the Democrats to stem the flow of illegal immigrants into this country. But, you know, Democrats, if you can't get regular Americans to vote for you, import new ones. Nancy, Chuck, all these folks years ago were all put a wall up and illegal immigration. It's a drain on our economy. Now they can't get these Democratic embryos across the border fast enough. But the president showing that, hey, you're going to wake people up and get their attention when you start hitting them in the pocketbook. And the dude is right. The fact that he's running this country like a business makes me so proud to be an American. All these previous presidents sucked. It's ridiculous. So this guy actually went to an event last night, saw Roger Stone up in Palm Beach, had a great speech. Laura Loomer was there. Really fun event, but good to be around some great Americans. We're actually heading up to Orlando Tuesday to be in the VIP section, hopefully right behind the president. I'm working on getting right behind the president as he announces his re-election bid next week. But, you know, nobody is given, well, smart people give the president credit for this, but, you know, so the guy, everybody yells at him for, slapping Mexico with tariffs to make them stop illegal immigration. They send forces down to the southern border. They actually stem the flow, or at least are jumping through their rear end to make it happen. And he still gets shit for it. It's ridiculous. Democrats can't figure out what to do with this guy. The president, though, said if Xi does not attend the G20 summit in Japan at the end of the month, more China tariffs will go into effect immediately. So he's really starting to play hardball with President Xi Jinping. But look at what's going on. The PBOC came out, People's Bank of China, which is essentially their Federal Reserve, and said what? We need to do some more stimulus measures, folks. So let's take a look at Tuesday. We're sitting here on Tuesday tonight, Eastern Air Time. We're going to get some inflation data out of China. And then on, Thursday, we're actually going to get fixed asset investment, industrial production, retail sales, and their unemployment rate. So we're going to get some macroeconomic data out of China this week. Remember, always look at that with a raised eyebrow, because they're most likely lying about either how bad it is or potentially lying about how good it is. Okay, so we got to keep an eye on that. But the president continues his war on the Fed, man, ripping them apart. They don't have a clue. This, back here in the fall when Jerome Powell, you can't even see it on the radar anymore. Back there on October 3rd, when Jerome Powell was getting ready to do his job and increased interest rates because the economy was smoking, Trump ripped him apart. Are you going to fire him? Are you doing this? I've been happy with the guy since the day I hired him. Just an absolute war on the Fed, and he hasn't let up. Trump blames the Fed for the strong dollar and says interest rates are way too high. The United States has very low inflation, a beautiful thing. So the guy just keeps hammering the Fed. He wants the Fed to cut interest rates. He even last month said, hey, we need some QE. We need quantitative easing. Barack Hussein Obama got 8 years of low interest rates and QE. Could you imagine what this market and this economy would be doing if you gave me 8 years of low interest rates and QE? I completely disagree with that, but we can talk about that over a beer. So you really do need to think a little bit about a rate cut here, folks. And remember, the market's saying, you ready for this? The market is saying the Fed's going to cut 3 times this year, and the other Death Star, Goldman Sachs, said they're not going to cut at all this year. So Goldman Sachs usually has a pretty good read on stuff, especially what the attitude at the Fed was. I think the Federal Reserve might maybe do 1, maximum of 2, but I think they sent Goldman Sachs out there yesterday to kind of tamp down expectations of at least 3 rate cuts. So this is a barbell right now. The market, the Fed funds futures rate saying 3 of them this year, Goldman Sachs saying 0. And remember, folks, the Fed cutting interest rates is not, I get it. Listen to this little wizism here. When interest rates are low, stocks will grow. When interest rates are high, stocks will, say it with me, die. So I get lower interest rates, somewhat good for the stock market, but it's not necessarily boding too well for the overall economy, folks. Remember, the stock market and the economy, 2 completely separate entities, right? So the Fed cutting interest rates means they're not seeing really good stuff on the horizon, and they're trying to beat it, okay? The Fed's never engineered a soft landing in its history. They usually overshoot or undershoot, and it's usually not pretty. So this is it's getting really interesting. So we have a Fed meeting coming up in a couple weeks. We have a July one. If the market thinks they're cutting 3 times this year, the Fed needs to do one in June, essentially, or no later than July. And if they don't, I think we might get a holy crap moment out of the market because this is really kind of a sucker's rally. Markets tend not to do something like this, a 7-day rip-your-face-off rally. 3 days of this last week was a short squeeze, period, end of story. Friday was abysmal jobs report, which proved we're in bizarro market. Good news is good news, bad news is good news, and awful news is great news. The market's rallying on bizarro market. Tends to run out of airspeed, okay? At 1 o'clock in our primary live trade brief, we're going to talk about United Technologies' deal to merge with Raytheon. They'll be the number 2 defense company. The skipper of United Technologies will be the overall CEO. Check this out. We have a 182.5, 185 bear call spread, which was completely getting blown out of the water yesterday, and now is completely profitable. Look at this. We're down over 4% with Raytheon today. A couple downgrades out of Raytheon, all sorts of news, but check that out. Going from a 100% losing trade in a day to, I think it's up about 82% right now, and it expires on Friday. That's most likely going to expire for max profit. So we're going to review this at 1 o'clock, but you have to stay disciplined in your trading. Right? If you prematurely ejected early yesterday, you're probably not too happy with that trade today. You have got to learn to stay the course, and we're going to talk about that, as I said, at 1 o'clock. Defense contractors join forces as Pentagon spending slows. Remember, under the initial year, was it $716 billion, like some of the largest defense spending in recent years under the president? Now, obviously, it's going from spending a massive ton of money to a little less than massive, people think spending is slowing. It ain't necessarily slowing, folks. This president wants a massive military. He wants a big Navy, 300-ship Navy. But other firms are looking at 17,000 defense firms have pulled out. Well, isn't that bad, Wiz? No, that's good. If Raytheon and UTX are getting together and being the number 2 company, we're going to move from being long in Raytheon to what? Being long in UTX. Being the nation's number 2 defense contractor is a good thing. Okay? And like I said, we'll talk about that at 1 o'clock. I mean, the president yesterday raised his eyebrow a little bit. He was on fire yesterday morning. Everything from Mexico to China to social media and, silencing conservative voices to the Raytheon UTX deal. Guy was all over the place yesterday. There's was it Recode or whatever the hell the name of the conference is out on the left coast, or actually it's in Scottsdale. I think it's out in Arizona. But big tech really, after last Monday's attack by the alphabet soup, DOJ, FTC, states attorneys general, big tech's kind of shrugged it off. As we predicted, the number 1 tech, if you want to call it a tech company, I don't. It's a services company. But look at Amazon. Massive, massive recovery after the implosion last week. So really looking good. We were almost back up to 1,900 yesterday. So hugging this 50-day moving average. Really love our Amazon trades. We looked at an XLY bull put spread yesterday. I didn't get filled on that. I'm still working to get, I'm still sitting here at 12 cents. I think that's what some folks were seeing as fills yesterday. So we'll talk about that at 1 o'clock as well. A lot of stuff going on, folks. Make sure if you want to check out what we do here at Top Gun Options and watch a pretty cool presentation, all you need to do is head to go.topgunoptions.com/register. Okay. go.topgunoptions.com/register, and you can check out what we do here. It's a good brief about what we do here at Top Gun Options, my background. I throw a free trade in there as well. So make sure you stop by and take a look at that. And there's a really cool special offer in there as well. Okay. All right, I got to get ready for our 1 o'clock primary live trade brief. Have a couple coaching sessions later in the afternoon. We're going to have a coaching brief maybe sometime this week because I'm starting to get a lot more feelers. I have two folks, Amy and Steve, that are rolling off. Amy's been two years of coaching. Steve's done a year, and they're ready to go to the fleet. They're putting that Top Gun Options patch on their shoulder, and they're going out and can do some killing on their own. And Amy made a bold move when I said to short the FANG stocks a year and a half ago. The woman's made over six figures doing it. So we'll talk about that in our coaching brief sometime this week. I got to take a look at my calendar and make it happen. Okay? Have a great rest of your day. I'll see all my members at 1 o'clock in the primary live trade brief. God bless. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge.